Hello, hello. It's been a long time since I've done some Reddit content. I used to go on here, answer questions, rate builds, or just in general check out and see anything cool that's on here for the BDO console community Reddit. They still have this goofy Archer banner. That's how little they pay attention to the Reddit. So, you know, I'll go ahead, be the real community manager that everybody needs. What the hell is this? Does anyone know how to remove this? Yeah, you're below level what is it, below level 50? Once you hit like level 50 or some shit, this will disappear for a while. But whenever you're riding on a horse, this will come back and then it'll be horse commands instead. So all you gotta do is just whatever level you are, I think it's like level 50 plus or something like that. Once you get to that point where PvP gets turned on, this will disappear. So it's a simple fix. Oh man, this is a painful question. How soon can two starting players co-op? I mean, you can start from the jump and just both quest together and, you know, get to level 50 and then go past that. And there's a ton of duo grind spots that you can mess around with, but it's a little hard to talk about cooperative play in BDO because there's not really a whole lot of interesting co-op stuff. Especially when we start talking about PvP, the options are even less, and that's one of BDO's biggest flaws, is that it almost just makes playing with friends near impossible because there's not really much content out there aside from running circles all day with, you know, grind partners. You know, you could go to like Castle Ruins, which is a 3-man grind spot. You can go to Turos, 2-man grind spot, Olin's 3-man grind spot, but these are areas where you need a little bit of gear to even go to these spots in general. And then some of the pre-level spots too, where you can go and grind on the lower section like Basilisk Den, Waragons, Schultz Guard, any of those areas that are, you know, cooperative, I guess you could say. They don't really offer a whole lot in terms of money and performance, in terms of what you're going to get in time investment. They're really trash. They're like absolutely terrible. So going there is almost a waste of time. So in a lot of ways, BDO kind of punishes players for wanting to play with friends, and it's one of the biggest turnoffs for BDO. A lot of console players, at least the general console community, 9 times out of 10, they probably want to play with friends, especially if they're in the younger generation, you know 18 and lower. Like the people in their teen years and whatnot definitely are wanting to play an MMORPG if that's their taste with friends, and BDO just doesn't have a whole lot of content that supports cooperative gameplay, and it's something that they've been slacking in for a very long time. Yeah, I remember too. I remember too. Tough. This meme is tough. Centaur grinding. Hey guys, I have a question about centaurs. The problem is that everyone says they make 400 plus mil an hour on trash loot only. I don't get how they do that. Currently, I'm playing on a normal server. I have 267 AP. I'm using Agri's Fever and quest for additional drop completed. Okay, that's fine. Second loot scroll, pay to win 10 buff and 30% Jatina buff from the current event. I even created and tagged Awakened Valk. And okay, so what this sounds like, let's see. Well, let me read a little bit more. So, what the F? People do get like 25-30k trash loot per hour. Is my AP too low? Am I missing some crucial component? If I had to guess, when you have a problem like this and you're not getting the lined up trash appropriately, you might be doing the wrong rotation. You might not have the correct add-ons where you're killing the mobs as fast. I mean, I can, you know, pull like 20 plus K like on a seasonal Musa if that's like the case. You have to master the rotation. That's what it sounds like. This could be the issue because he's only getting 15k per hour, so that sounds like a rotation problem because 267 on a Valk is more than enough. So if I had to give any kind of advice or suggestion, Valk is good for centaurs. You can definitely pull 25 plus, but Zerker is technically better. I think Zerker is the #1 for centaurs. So if you really want to push it to the max and get farther with it, Succession Zerker will be the move. But also, I would study up on the centaur rotation and just kind of figure out like what other people are doing, which rotation they're doing. Because if you're just running around everywhere at centaurs, you're not going to pull 25k at all. And at the bare minimum, even with a shit rotation, you should still be getting at least 20k. So there's a little discrepancy there. I would suggest watching some YouTube videos on the centaur grind and give it a shot. Dedicated PS5 version. Yeah, that's not happening, buddy. I'm not going to hold you. PS5 players don't even, they can barely play the game. They can't even, the FPS on PlayStation 5 is so horrible. You got intermittent crashing like almost every war. Anything that involves like large scale or PvP, PlayStation 5 performance dips to absolutely negative levels of just horrid performance. And also, does anybody know if there's a dedicated version of Black Desert will get released on PlayStation 5? Yeah, I mean, listen, the whole performance thing has been going on for a long time, and it probably will continue to go on for a long time. So just put this thought and question in the back of your mind and try and repress it, because every time you think about it, you're going to be very disappointed. Opinion about Suck Hash. Hi, I'm playing Succession Hashashin as my main on console and wanted to know what you're thinking about Hashashin. So my questions are, what do you think? Is it a weak, balanced, or strong class? It's a very strong class. It's like one of the best like burst damage classes in the game. The weak point of it is that it doesn't have a grab, but if you play Awakening and you swap, around, Awakening has a lot more utility. But if you just like want to get speed and insane burst damage, Suck Hash does that so well. It's just, you can get in there, drop damage, and like almost take a dude out in like less than 2 seconds. He is that effective. Shall I go DR or evasion? He can do both. A lot of hashes still prefer evasion, but DR is still viable. You can still use DR if you wish to. I would suggest early on going DR, and then if you ever want to make the swap when you're far more geared, evasion is usually the common swap. That's the trend that I usually see. DR just makes a lot more sense from a grind standpoint. You get more accuracy with the bags, you get a little bit more damage reduction against tankier mobs, or not tankier, but mobs that hit more harder, so you'll be a little bit more tankier against those. So generally start with DR as a new player, and then eventually make the swap to evasion. And then, could anyone who plays Hash as main tell me which exact items I should be using? I assume you mean gear. I mean, as I said with DR and evasion, start with Uragons and Begs, and then once you get a little bit more gear, you can make the swap to evasion, get Libers and Muskins. As far as gear goes, that's kind of just a preference sort of thing and what you want to do. I know a couple hashes that really enjoy accuracy builds, so they'll run, an accuracy offhand, or they'll run a Turos belt, Dawn earrings, things like that, and they'll still maintain, like 290 plus AP, and with Kudum, of course, if you're running evasion. So yeah, that's kind of like the trend that I've seen a little bit in terms of just hash gear, but that really just varies on what you want to be able to fight, because Hash's biggest issue is like his accuracy is kind of hard to, it's been gutted. So yeah, that's, if you can compensate for that, you'll find a lot more success in Succession. PS4 Pro overheating help. I've had this problem for a while. I will upgrade soon. I know last gen can't handle this. I did clean it slightly. Any tips to stop this? It only happens when I leave BDO on for hours. Please help me. Listen, Chief, you're gonna have to pack it in, bud. I'm not gonna hold you. PlayStation 4s and old Xboxes, they are going to overheat. I want you to understand, I have new gen console. I have 2, and both of them overheat when playing BDO. The game is poorly optimized. There's memory leak issues. There's a ton of performance issues on console, and even when you upgrade to a new one, your game will run better, but it's not going to be enough for you to actually notice it in terms of like, oh, this was a great purchase. Until the game is actually properly optimized, you are going to have struggled to your performance and be really upset at most of the, console stuff. It's pretty bad. This right here, this says everything you need to know when support needs support. That's all right. We'll probably end the video on this question here. PvP beginner. Hello everyone. I got several characters to level 30/40 plus. And dedicate, or I read that wrong, jeez, I'm dyslexic, and decided I wanted to stick to one character and go play PvP in near future. So my question is, what do you guys suggest to pick as a beginner? I am playing on console, Series X, and wondering if is that makes any no. Whatever console you play on doesn't make any difference, because both of them suck, but PlayStation sucks worse, but it's not to the point where, like, if you play on PlayStation, you'll be upset. Like, it's both consoles have their upsetting fucking problems. Okay, so while I'm here, right, I want to go over the classes. I'm going to do this briefly and not go super in depth. If you want a good PvP class that can both grind as well as, duel for spot, do a little small scale, things like that, you've got Warrior. A little bit more difficult to play if you play Awakening. Succession is really easy to get into and one of the best grinders in the game. So you could play Suck Warrior and you'd have a lot of protections. He's more tanky. The rotation's really simple. His combos are simple. The downside is that his crowd control abilities with CCs and whatnot, like he relies heavily on a grab and most of that damage will come off of a grab. But if you can get good at it, you can definitely, you know, make it work. But Suck Warrior is really good. Berserker, another class that can just absolutely rail anybody over. Succession and Awakening are both very solid. Awakening, I would say, is better at large scale, and Succession is better for dueling as well as just grinding in general. He can just move around so quickly. He's got multiple grabs, health regen, large HP pool, and just in general really tanky as well. So Berserker's a really good choice as well. Sage, also really good in just about the general state of the game. He's been buffed a lot recently. Both Succession and Awakening are very solid. I think Awakening's a bit harder to play, but it's still, the performance is there. I mean, Awakening has a grab too, so that's even better, and his mobility's wild. Ton of movements, ton of AoE damage. He's really solid. And Succession is more of the large scale class. He can do pretty much just about anything, and he's really solid. But dueling sucks kind of with his Succession. It's not very good. If you're fighting anybody that has a grab or a lot of mobility and protections, Sage will have a really hard time breaking through a lot of that in Succession, but that's why you swap to Awakening with the grab, and then you one-shot somebody. So there you go. Guardian, if you're into female classes and that's what you want to play, Guardian is a huge plus. She's great at PvP. She's great in PvE, just overall a solid class. She just does so much ridiculous damage, a lot of accuracy modifiers, an incredibly good class. And then of course, Megu and Wusa, both these classes are incredible right now. Wusa just got her Awakening too, so she's up huge. Megu's Awakening is coming soon, so you'll be able to play with that. But both of these classes are incredible in PvP and PvE. I'd say Megu is better at PvP in my opinion. I've yet to fight a Wusa that actually makes me like even worried in the slightest. She does hit hard, I will say that much. She does hit pretty hard, but outside of that, I mean, she's pretty easy to deal with in PvP. So if I would say out of the two, which is better, Megu is just superior in PvP and PvE, at least on console. I'd say that on PC, I think Wusa is better at PvE grinding, but that's, you know, whatever. Both of these classes are solid if you're interested in, you know, female classes. And the last one I'm going to mention is Striker. This class is really, really solid, flashy, fast, great in dueling, kind of not the greatest in large scale. You really have to know the intricacies of the class to play it in, you know, wars and whatnot. But if you're just dueling for spot, BA stuff, and just messing around and just fighting in smaller teams, Striker is really good. He does amazing in PvE. His PvP is pretty good, and overall, good class. So those would be my suggestions for your question about what you should be playing. Hopefully that helps. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I will talk to you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.